Ready for Cappy.
Sorry, it's not you.
Wait, my phone's been shut. Do you mind if I take, like, if I, like, collapse coughing, can I pause the timer? Are you good?
Yeah. I'm good.
The war in Yemen is an atrocity. Hartung 18, Saudi coalition by U.S.-wide weapons and refueling system bomb killed thousands. Saudi air strikes target hospitals, water treatment plants, even if funeral Pentagon should be 100% Saudi U.S. weapons and funding are being used. In Yemen, we should cut off U.S. support Trump. Falsely certified they started predicting 2 curative votes, and certification with plain invasion, congressional requirement, blockade has put millions of Yemenis. Starvation attacks on civilian infrastructure have called outbreak of Saudi Arabia effort to dramatically worsen civilian suffering. Weapons are directly transferred to terrorist groups. Chaos and a lack of political will makes accountability impossible. El Bagir at all 19 Saudi Arabia. Coalition transferred weapons to Al-Qaeda fighters, headlines, self-immersions, other factions, weapons are made their way into Iranian black rebels, exposing sent to military attack. Saudi Arabia and the UAE have used weapons as a form of currency to buy the loyalties of militias or tribes in devastated fracture politics means little hope for accountability or tracking terror groups of female militia leaders obtain military harvest exchange for manpower hours market. Operate openly linked to ACAP, the Abu Abbas brigade to opposite U.S.-based Akash armored vehicles. Abu Abbas was declared a terrorist in 2017 for agrees to military supports for Saudi coalition. Saudi said Iber American way TOW missiles on ACAP. A member of vehicles bearing insignias with their insignia of John's brigade itself from Beaumont, Texas to Abu Dhabi before ending up in the hands of the militia receiving of U.S. weaponry were legally obligated fire authorization. Authorization was never obtained with short of American troop deaths or caused by IEDs. It's critical that MRAP vulnerabilities don't fall into enemy hands. MRAPs have been prevented security for a single American weapon. They don't have to fight on its details. Plan: the United States federal government should suspend military aid to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. The plan grounds the RSF for IDL 18 Saudis. Various provides munition technicals for the RSF entirely dependent on American support for F-15 fighter jets, Apache Tornado with Washington halts flow. The RSF regarded revoking support results in a peace process. Bandao 18 ongoing peace talk offers some hope. They've advanced further than previous attempts of Western nations turned against war. Encourage Saudi Arabia to start making concessions necessary to enjoy peace for as long as Riyadh. He got a blank check for Washington. The Kingdom has no reason to temper its policy. Administration should take the next 7 and also work for the war. Fill in is wrong. Tech integration checks. Cavalry 18-60%. Arms came from the United States, military roles and American tanks and planes and missiles, maintenance training and support. European governments feel strong domestic political pressure on exports, transforming Saudi military to war. Russian Chinese weapons cost for fortune. Require years of training. Greatly cost producing military power for generations. Russia cannot produce federal for strength and British filing vehicles. China is not producing more export of the aircraft Saudi Arabia wants. Conditioning fails. No consistent metrics. Opacity. Conflicting agency authorities and no political follow through. Blanchard 15. Neither synergy to use consistent metrics to venture progress. DoD internal assessments have been publicly exposed to challenges for department decision making and future programming. Bachelor to go current authorities insufficient to address track and persistent interagency disagreements. Symbolic condemnation of Saudi's key, which approaches 18. Sorry. Saudi Arabia's rules through repression during constitute the most significant funding to terrorist groups in Yemen. War causing by 2 worse humanitarian disasters, 13 million Yemenis are starvation. Saudi Arabia tries to prevent U.S. from negotiating a deal that stops Iran's pursuit of nuclear weapons and encourages Trump to withdraw. The United States helps school the rivalry. Saudi Arabia and Germany killed a U.S. president in another country, kidnapped the Prime Minister of Lebanon, downgraded the Canada relationship, blockaded the Qatar war in Yemen. Khashoggi's blood is also in Trump's hand. Trump's disregard for human rights are grounded in engagement with Saudi Arabia. This is more about whether America will stand up for democratic values or human rights against the brazen autocracies like Russia and China murder after critics. The United States must take a stand. You can't predict black swan events. Shadowfo 17. Predictable year hinges on conflict. Black swans are game-changing events. The low probability they cannot be predicted. Attempting to predict would be a full gameplay structure constantly evolving you within a given conflict. The dynamic can dramatically change. Changes are black holes themselves. Due to forecasting limited to the short term. For too many combating shocks of predictions. Big of futile predictions can affect behavior today and invalidate original predictions. Actors can always respond the same way the prediction is predictable. A small event immediately cascading effect of the same structure could accommodate alternative equilibrium when unable to know which spark would ignite the cake. Contention 2 is theory. First, 1 year theory paradigm may point the F gets it because otherwise the neck can engage in infinitely abusive practice, making affirming impossible. B point is dropped the debate of the short 1 year is irreparably skewed from a time of use on substance and time investment on a theory. C point no RVI is the choose to true. The 6-minute turner can collapse to a counter-trip the description, thus deter 1 year theory, allowing infinite ones to be used by sheer rehearsal and time spent on theory. This is extended. D point fairness to voters constitution debate. Do you trust the judge to evaluate all of your arguments fairly if you contest this and vote against them because they don't care about the round? Second, RBIs on topicality, 8 point skew. There's no choice to develop carded offense, and the 1 year has to overcover since 6-minute turner is devastating, which encourages them to underdevelop T and NC and overdevelop in the unRND RBI to develop good in-depth T offense, which makes T more high quality. B point reciprocity T is the new cavity to the valve. The F can access may T structurally infer within the RBI. Third, specification is good. 8 point stable advocacy. Their term means the F can shift definitions of authoritarian has no unifying literature. Ask one have a defense of their mechanism and will just develop to ludicrously generic claims to win. B point learning to apply generics to specific permanent cells. Critical thinking means you're better able to adapt to a variety of different situations and think on your feet. Contention 3 is framing. ITO theory is unable to guide real world since actions persistence. It presumes an equal playing field between agents. Theories must be indexed to the material results and actions of other agents in the world in order to provide a functional way to describe the world. Oppression is an intrinsic wrong. Contesting the validity of this is unethical, and our obligation to prevent it should be presumed. Intuitions outweigh. If someone turned in a philosophical theory that justified horrible atrocities, then that would be a reason to reject the theory, not a reason to prefer that the atrocities aren't really atrocities. Thus, the standard is mitigating oppression. One is no activation distinction. Choosing to omit is an act itself. People psychologically decide not to act, which means being presented with the act creates a choice between two actions, neither of which is an omission. Second, no intent force that distinction. If I foresee a consequence, it becomes part of our deliberation, which makes it intrinsic to our actions since we intended to happen. For example, if I threw this timer at Reed's laptop, the intent of my action would only be to throw the timer at Reed's laptop, and if I foresee that the laptop would close on his fingers, that would be a foreseen consequence that I'm responsible for. Third, fourth is reductionism. Empirics proof for part 54. Surgeons cut fibers. The effect was two separate series of concepts as psychologists present two questions to other visual field receive two different answers. Fifth, science disproves that a priori valid systems are tautological, and evolution disproves everything except consequentialism. Green 10, science is telling us human moral judgment is not pristine, rational enterprise judgment driven by hodgepodge emotional disposition, shaped by evolutionary forces, by biological cultural is unlikely there is any pure normative moral theory that can accommodate our moral intuitions. By counting everyone's principles evolving, this should be constant to act according to reasons. Rational creatures can share by principles that are impartial. 6, context matters. Even if you generally agree with their theory, they have to specifically prove why we shouldn't stop giving aid to Saudi Arabia. If we prove that that's bad, then vote affirmative. Ethical theory is constrained by context, and you should still evaluate risk, especially with absolutist theories. The 1AC scholarship supplement resistance because it maps the supply lines and networks that create complex systems of power. Endorsing material solutions these problems is not incommensurate with the reduction of the state, military, or the world. Ideological denouncement decoupled from military action collapses into self-serving intellectual circulation. It's good to act in the interim. This is Bryant 12, but not the Bryant card you're thinking of. Military logistics asks what the things in war machine relies on supply lines, communication networks, people willing to fight propaganda, military logistics maps, all of these things. Whatever is complete indifference to military logistics, people like to say this is horrible. Yeah, you're right. People are horrified when anyone discusses anything besides how horribly unjust everything in comparative analysis. Next problem say you're justifying the system that misses the point. The maps supply lines you already took for granted your analysis. You're preaching the why we want to get to work. And for that we need to maps your trying to be ideological critique. There will be a number of bang on critiques about things changing. This is suspect author cause factors. I know rejection political guns just one how together. Zero for growth the actors be something more than a critic, something more than someone who downs and bad things are producing other material and semitic arrangements. None of this is public art mapping strike here about ontology for political reasons, but I believe the world sucks and it's profoundly unjust around their feelings superior to all this. I think we need good maps to build up the right bridges, power lines, communication networks. Sorry. Don't wait for a second, please.
Yeah, go for it.
Everything hurts. Okay, I'm ready.
Did you read Degrees of Wrongness?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you good?
Yeah.
Okay. Why is the app inherent?
Because the Senate has not yet voted on the House bill, and Trump has promised to veto it.
Where is that evidence?
It is not in the 1AC, but I did check the news like 5 minutes before the round just to make sure this wasn't going to happen. And no, the House has not voted on it. They're voting on it next week. Or no, not House. The House did vote on it. The Senate has not voted on it. They're voting on it next week. And Trump's like definitely going to veto it.
Okay. Oh, that's fine.
Also, that bill has an enormous national
okay.
security exemption.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's literally just like cut off aid. But okay.
Okay, thank you.
I read the bill. Sorry.
It's good. Why does the app solve?
There are a bunch of reasons. I'll go through them. The first one is that the RSAF, which is the Royal Saudi Air Force, is literally just us. Like, if we cut off aid, they are grounded because the technology we provide them, like the software to fly the planes, we're obviously not just going to give MDS that software, so we keep it under lock and key, which is why they're American technicians.
So this evidence says the RSAF is entirely dependent on American and British support.
Yeah, and it says if either of them cut off aid, the RSAF is grounded.
So why is that line uniquely true? Why if they're
either Washington?
Both,
it's either Washington or London.
Yeah, my question is why.
Also, why? Oh, because the UK's they provide a lot of the munitions, but but the software is uniquely in the United States.
Where does the evidence say that?
The card does not warrant this.
Okay, so that's just.
I would trust me though.
I wouldn't, but that's fine. What is the first part of the Calverley card? So it's broken into 2 paragraphs. The first argument says European governments feel strong domestic political pressure not to export.
Yeah, this has been empirically proven by a string of European democracies that have started to cut support to Saudi Arabia. In fact, London, which is maybe a solvency deficit,
why would the United States not do it, but Europe was? No.
But the United States also would not do it. The planned Fiat's it, which is how Fiat works. The London thing, there's a Lockheed Martin factory in London, but the tech for flying the planes is American. The Rydell evidence actually does warrant this. It's spare parts, munitions, and technical support for the enormous amount of American equipment they bought from previous administrations.
Did the app end arms sales then?
Yes.
Okay.
That T argument's ludicrous. I'll answer it.
Yeah, well, I'm not going for it. Don't worry.
Okay.
Let's talk about the theory argument.
Yep.
Why is specification good? So what is the stable advocacy argument?
Their in turn means the act can shift definitions of authoritarian and has a unifying literature. The
Why?
The reason is because literally no one is like, we should stop giving military aid to all authoritarian regimes. There's no way the affirmative can justify 40 regimes being or 40 plus regimes being cut off aid to. It is a ludicrous burden for the affirmative. Obviously, all of the literature is centered around specific regimes.
So where is that analysis done? Where is the topic literature analysis that says everything's really
and
distinct?
has no unifying literature? AFs don't have a defense of their
that's
mechanism.
A claim. What is the warrant?
I am warranting it now because you asked me to further warrant it. I think it is warranted in the 1AC because it is argued that the AFs can't have a defense of their mechanism because they have to devolve to ludicrously generic claims to win, and they can shift definitions of authoritarian.
Okay, stop track. 215. 4 off case.
What's the order on the case?
Underview, or it's gonna be like a hedge a little bit, so you might want a separate sheet for that.
Like a theory hedge?
Yeah. Then it will be the underview proper, then the advantage. Yeah.
Yes.
Plus the separate sheet for the overview if you want. Can I borrow your stencils?
Yeah. Just
Read.
for underview. Are we going to the framework of the app at all?
Forward me now. Thank you.
Jesus. So aggressive.
Is it theory hedge
Feels
just for
for
one
my
more
words.
theory?
I'm not sure I
No,
ever
He
got
didn't under-
Yeah.
Oh.
You should have it by now.
Yeah, I do have it, don't worry.
Okay.
I am floating the theory hedge on a separate sheet. If, that's what y'all are going to do too.
For what? Not now.
I sent it again. With the new email.
I just left it so you could be out of that email.
Oh wait, I sent it to the others. I sent it to the.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Thank you, Reed.
Yeah, you know what's up. Come on.
It wasn't that I didn't get this
It is
one.
ludicrous.
Thanks. It wasn't that I didn't answer it. It was just that I called them
Are all the judges good? Loma?
Yeah.
You Sean? First off is Nebel T, AZ interpretation, authoritarian machines is a generic tool that entails defending all authoritarian machines, so they can expect Nebel 19 authoritarian machines is a tool without explicit determinant, but opposed express generic generalizations, as in ravens of black affirmative accuracy that specify particular authoritarian machines do not affirm the resolution because generic generalizations are not until by specific circumstances of violation. They defend one authoritarian machine, i.e. Saudi Arabia, see that the reason for purposes limits and existential reading allows for any permutation, 50 plus authoritarian machines, key defenders, their interpretation force media, to pepper every single foreign words, they only pepper one key, even if their atomic concept always get destroyed by one implementation next fairness matters, because the basic gaming combating getting governed by rules, controls, and internal education, the force lack of engagement resulting in blaming shot the debates to use the vote, vote them down on jurisdiction, therefore but not affirming the resolution that which the voters is about as to the better rating in the context of representation is key to jurisdiction, and always 8 point is a limit test. You do not entitle your pragmatic defense if you don't defend the topic. B point control C. Interling if your interpretation automatically precise, nobody will organize benefits because there's no predictable stage point for drop the arguments incoherent because they're average, so they must defend the model. No organization went for being topical because their job always fairness claims. Even if it would be restricted without the front of reading conflicts, it would be logical for competing in terms to reasonability because reasonability A has no broad line for mitigation. Shall be invites you judge intervention be threshold for unuse of abuse or dependency creates a race to the bottom with both reading being abusive as you can justify. Next off. AC interpretation authoritarianism is distinct from totalitarianism. Long 19 authoritarian state is characterized by a strong central government that allows people a limited degree of political freedom. Is important to summarize the main differences in the totalitarian state. The government's range of control over the people is virtually limited via civilization. Saudi Arabia is totalitarian. Law 18 since becoming comprehensive July 2017, Salman has directed a wide range of contact on distance. Authorities do not permit any independent political agency in the kingdom, rather journalistic or otherwise. This is the most oppressive environment in terms of the number of people in jail. Salman, in fact, has been taken already repressive marking and monarchy, make it a totalitarian state. See the reason for persons ground their interpretation and gives them access to the most extreme machines who are playing the severe permanent harm, exploding infantry and making it hard to contest seconds insensibility. My interpretation shows a distinction between regime text, which prefer the definition of individuals without comparison. Third political skills failure to delineate inhibits our ability to identify and respond to authorities, which matters in schools funded for education value and early education has that impact with Minsky 2017. The mental image of authoritarian rule in the minds of most Americans is unrealistic and dangerous. The mental image of authoritarian rule in the minds of most Americans is unrealistic and dangerous. Life under authoritarianism is failure of failure to most Americans. Because of the U.S. South were particularly under one-party rule during parts of the 20th century. These regions subject to authoritarian so quietly most Americans conceptualize a hypothetical end of American democracy and apocalypse. It turns the fantasy distracts Americans from the mundane ways in which the mechanisms of political competition and checks and balances can overthrow it off as the DNC. The standard is consistency with the logical consequence of the resolution. Refer to first text. Oxford Dictionary defines odd is used to indicate something that is probable. Odd is used to indicate odd is used to express logical consequence as defined by Merriam-Webster. Second is debatability. Moral laws cannot cut action. Great. The ISO cap is a problem in moral philosophy. How do we know that what ought to be from what is moral from what is morality is imperceptible? The ISO cap isn't a problem for non-moral. Authorities real. Well, it doesn't matter which jobs debaters get into. All jobs benefit from being able to predict future. Griffiths. Being able to predict future events is an important component of cognitive tasks. Expectations are fundamental to planning and decision-making. Prediction is immediately related to the discovery of causal relationships that can alter perception. Fourth is negative definition choice. The furniture should have defined odd in the one I see as a value by not doing so. They have forfeited the right to read a new definition. That would be like reading a brand new user framework on the one AR if you were to read content which kills one and see strategies since the premise by engagement on your lack of a definition negate the inherency. Prove that the affirmative won't happen, which gives the standard either A point the affirmative is not inherent and you vote negative or presumption, or B point it isn't and it's not going to happen. No, kicking out the inherency causes damage was very devastating on this. They literally spent 30 to 45 seconds justifying the inherency and cause 6 is blinding. Anything else allows him to shift a few more rows. Is that A point? I can't debate against myself. You made the argument in CX and B point. It's academic dishonesty violation since you knew the cause and you knew that the argument was bad. Fourth off is disad. U.S. defense companies are increasing investment in innovation now. Gloria 2018, defense contracting companies require appropriate incentives for improving production processes without processes. It makes no sense for them to invest more in R&D. In a recent series of discussions, defense firms announced that they were increasing R&D and manufacturing capacity. Saudi deals are essential to maintaining their growth. Kirk's 2018, our exports to Saudi Arabia are not particularly significant to the U.S. economy, but for specific factories, they can be critical if we get a bad reputation for going back on arms deals. Otherwise, our nation will fill in as the arms dealer of choice. All the impacts are non-unique except for U.S. deterrence, besides 2018. The expected loss of jobs should be a reason for a positive. The expected benefit of an embargo is unlikely to be realized regularly, resulting to playing hardball with arms equipment. It's important that diversification is in order for the suppliers. Defense sector Saudi Arabia can expect to have options within Western circles. Big European suppliers have generally avoided bailing on Saudi Arabia. The Canadian government made no move to terminate the sale of armed vehicles. France has been perfectly willing to fill the void of American sales to Egypt. The U.S. at times blocked precision-guided missiles, but Spain did not follow suit. Inconsistent funding for defense base is key to force modernization. Gore 2018. The U.S. military's ability to defeat opponents on in battle depends largely on weapons and supplies. Defense funding consistent enough to keep companies that produce American military power and business. Modernization of defense technology is key to check Russian capabilities. Gore 2018. Russian advances in electronic warfare can challenge essential features of U.S. capabilities. Russian forces in Syria have U.S. intelligence aircraft. We have to maintain our modernization so we can remain dominant and failure to deter challenges causes 20th century style wars workings like Kagan 2017. Only the United States has the military power to deter challenges without a U.S. willingness to maintain the balance. The world would return to the conditions that produced two destructive world wars. The result was unprecedented global calamity, death on an epic scale case. The overview. Although new and the two responses to all of the theory arguments in the AC versus Strategy force me to waste my time responding to every single argument, just use my time to kill sons of education. Second is contextualization. These arguments don't have a voter, and the voters obviously depend upon and don't have a validation, which means that I don't have the ability to respond. This strategy specifically is fair because you can go for RBI turn the NC award case, or when the case to the two details on the NC have been read in the past with predictable and negating charter first. The affirmative speech worship mean that they have the ability to set the terms for by choosing their framework, their advocacy, and putting votes in place in the AC that all minorities have to coincide with turns any reactivity claims, and also proves that you also turns into one error times two arguments because it proves that you can just leverage your good AC in the one error. So it's not my fault if you read about AC. The second is the two-error clause allows you to be perceptually dominant because your words are in the judge's mind when they send the ballot. Now, the underview proper. Starting on the winner theory argument, you should allow new the two responses to this argument specifically in terms of job debater because it's going to be contextual to UVs. For example, if I wrote on 100 condo pics, that would probably not be that would probably be job debater. But if I wrote one off theory, that would probably be good to drop the argument for substantive education. I'll concede fairness is considered. They say RBI on topicality. The first argument is a Q argument. However, no, you could just give an efficient one ART which solves all the arguments. Also, it's relying upon a time sheet. No time sheet. Equipment about that 13 minutes. The point is that you could just get faster. The next argument is reciprocity implicitly responded to that in the shell proper. The stable advocacy argument first. My results you can shift from defending all authority machines is that since that's implicit in the generic reading, you also still have advocacy text on the right there that you defend all second judge text. They hold you accountable if you change your advocacy second. Third two theory results in it better because it gives you a concrete violation. The clash argument first empirical claim without empirical legal policies. Any into regimes based on qualifications of the like he law through their whole rest mechanisms to lead to good clash second and turn and quickly not always fill the base and whole rest policy based like human rights adventure first politics to prove that clash is possible. The generic argument first extend that they can see the weighing and the limited and implicit response to the speakers reverting to generics gives them it's on the dog gives them a huge private advantage because they have infinite time to prep. So they crush by one front line. Second generics is incoherence since all generics apply to everything generic is that the defense industrial base and ICBMs don't apply since they don't get whole wrestling style. The advantage proper. Starting on the solvency argument, they say they ground the U.S. RSAF. However, the evidence was specific to Britain. That was conceded in cause of nation, which proves the fill-in argument because it proves that even if Russia and China won't fill in, European nations will, and it has been empirically proven, which takes out the empirical warrant. They don't have a warrant as to why they won't fill in. Rather, it's just an assertion that the fill-in response doesn't apply because it doesn't apply because it's about Russia and China and military decrease of balancing in civilians over the long term to do 2017 U.S. military is persuasive effect on state action, which decreases states' incentive to target civilians. Analysis of 8 plus 135 countries on civilian killings between 1989 and 2009 provides support for the persuasion effect associated with 8.
Okay. Okay. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. I just put 4 minutes. Sorry. Let's talk. This. You said what tech innovation do we need to beat Russia?
So the argument is that we need continuous tech innovation.
Yeah. What tech do we need to innovate there?
Sure. So the argument is without tech innovation, that allows Russia to use their to cut off our intelligence.
Just understand my question. What tech do we need to innovate?
Sure. Tech that stops Russia from.
Which tech is what? Wait, what is that?
I can't give you the exact name of what the technology is. I'm not a
Okay,
scientist.
cool.
The argument
The
is that
internal
what the
link evidence is
technology.
about. No, I'm gonna keep asking.
Well, I'm
questions.
going to answer the question because you cut me off. The argument is that the technology is necessary in order to stop Russia from killing our intelligence because we need to be able to communicate.
Okay, cool.
That is-
This internal link card is about electronic warfare. What Saudi factories or what arms sales to Saudi make our electronic warfare get more developed?
Well, that was the argument I just made. Again, I can't tell you the exact name, i.e. Lockheed Martin or Raytheon or things like that. Those would be examples of
Okay, so
defense
you're
industry.
saying there's no reason Saudi arms sales are key to electronic warfare innovation?
No, that is what I just explained to you originally. Those are the two pieces of link evidence.
Okay, cool. Totalitarian. Which can you give me a list of regimes that are authoritarian?
Authoritarian?
Yeah.
I would say that the different distinction between totalitarian and authoritarian is a question of dissent. I don't have a definition for every single one. I don't.
Do you
Well, I have a
wait,
definition. I don't know which one means every single
We
definition.
would just sort of under your interpretation, we would just debate about whether a country like is stifling dissent enough.
Yes.
Okay, does the United States stifle dissent?
That's misunderstands the argument totally. The argument is not like, do you stop one person from speaking? The Longley evidence makes a comparative claim that in authoritarian regimes there is a limited degree of freedom, and whereas in that's authoritarian, where in totalitarian regimes there is no freedom.
No freedom. Okay, so Saudi Arabia has no freedom.
The argument in the Shilad 18 evidence says that authorities do not permit any independent political agency in the kingdom, whether journalistic or otherwise. This is the most oppressive environment in terms of the number of people in jail. Someone's impact has been to take an already oppressive monarchy and make it a totalitarian state.
That's fine. The NC, if it's true that the F is inherent, is there any way under your burden that the F could win?
If the AF is inherent,
No, if you're right, the Saudi F is inherent.
Yes.
Is there any way that the Saudi F could win underneath this interpretation?
well, if you win an inherency claim, I win offense. That's how framework debate works.
Wait, what?
So, for example, you read inherency.
Mhm.
You say inherency would be good under util because you resolve that.
Inherency would be good under. I think.
Because for
I
a util AF,
disagree.
you need an inherent plan.
No. I'm talking about under your interpretation of.
Yes,
law
I've read a
content.
separate framework which proves that your AF would negate.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I'm talking underneath that framework. Would there be any way? Because this is not like an ethical framework. It's a
No.
topical, like it's a T interpretation of what ought means, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so underneath your T interpretation, how would AFs affirm?
Well, the argument is that it would be a non-inherent AF.
Yeah. Okay, I know. So okay, wait. So non-inherent AFs would affirm.
If you prove that the
So you
AF
have to like negate against the Russia AF.
Well, no. The point is, you can still say that things are good ethically. For example, like
It
a
would
Kantian would be
affirm.
like,
Yeah.
I ought not violate your freedom, even if I'm currently not violating your freedom. That's how framework
crap.
works.
Nibel. Then teach-totalitarian. Then the advantage. Then the theory page. Then LogCon. Defense industry. Actually, start prep. Stop. 30 seconds left. Same order. Sorry. Okay. So we'll send the doc out. Can I have my screen?
Yeah.
Sorry, the doc is like saving, but it's the speeding of each ball of
There
death.
you go.
It's not. It's absurd.
I want you to drink a lot of water 3 meals a day.
You sent a second email, right, with everyone on it?
Yeah.
Just okay, wait a second.
Is reply all the same ones? So reply to the most
Yeah,
recent
I'm
one.
just replying to the most recent one. So everyone's on it. So, yeah. Does anyone need the order again? I had that feeling too, actually. Am I right, Ravi?
Yeah.
Cool. Kathy, good?
Yeah.
Green? Yeah. Cool. Counter to the Afghan specified authoritarian regimes that benefits one is education to A point topic coherence. Different regimes have different A plans. No one writes about ending all voluntary aid because there's no established definition of authoritarian regimes. B point research to result in that only have to doing prep one strategy. R intro has structural incentives to do more specific research. It outweighs its most portable. Forces us to understand issues in depth. Learn more. Second is debatability. A point hold is untenable because our athletes are random picks out of regimes and into specific places. Their TR just cause the same debates in reverse, which is networks. B point stable advocacy. Their inter causes shiftiness because the drafts can re-clarify in the 1 AR. Their inter one semantics. There's a floor, not a ceiling. Any military aid should guide how we prep based on literature and framers intended ground, not definitional action. Jurisdiction is nonsense and just very for non-top laughs all the time. Disclosure in literature. Self-predictability, particularly in the context of their interpret doesn't say we're not military aid, but begs the question of whether we can specify subsets, which is off second no offense. A point their interpret results in spec just one speech later because the neg will eventually want dissent. Counterpoint links. B point small laughs get outweighed by dissents and critiques, like making them not viable literature and answers. Generics like fill in also constrain the numbers. C point core topic controversy is usually about specific regime dissents like terror, stability, fill in relations. Countries and governments are not plural, they can be singular. Cover 92. Words such a government can occur as singular and plural. They can be singular in the same way. The nature of governments is that by alternative view as discrete and individual. The choice of a singular will depend on the perception if there's any risk of defense on semantics, but affirmative. The next show. Counter-interpretation topical regimes are those classified as authoritarian regimes on the EI Democracy Index. However, insert a list of topical countries and prefer one is topical literature. Authoritarian regimes are most germane to the value question of the topic and share common features. EIU 17. Authoritarian regime, political prisons, absent countries are just shared intuition. Democracy have little self-elections, not free and fair to describe for the liberties, media, state, under professional criticism, no freedom of injury. Second is that only our list establishes the hard cap on affirmatives. Their list is super vague because anyone can be affirmative. Their interpretation proper. One, the evidence is the violation. Evidence is rhetoric. It just says totalitarian because journalists want to say that Saudi Arabia is not totalitarian. It isn't defined in a political science. The second is reasonability, especially if they don't have a coherent definition of what their interpretation allows. You should err heavily affirmative on whether our interpretation is key. You should err to the error of more apps, particularly Saudi Arabia, which is the core of the topic. The ground standard doesn't make any sense. One turn, you get more ground to the authoritarian regimes because they're probably more key to things like terrorism. Second, inherency checks because you still have ground. Third is less you have ground against Saudi Arabia. If there's plenty of it, the Provinsky evidence. One will concede education outweighs, which is a claim at the top of the education, so you can't go for fairness outweighs on Nebel. Second turn, no, this would only my interpret result in debates over whether something is authoritarian or totalitarian because you'd have to read the T argument, which your interpretation would result in. The case. They dropped the peace process internal link. Our band of evidence was conceded the plan results in a peace process because of forced studies to recalibrate because the U.S. will pull out when the only one supporting them right now. The RSF will go down. Our evidence says that either Britain or U.S. and we have all the technology benefits. They haven't explained this. There's no fill in our cavalry evidence is bad. You can't have tech integration. It's like putting a 30 caliber bullet in a 50 caliber gun and no one is willing to sell it to them. And Saudi Arabia is hemorrhaging money in the first place. Cavalry evidence is wonderful and more explanation of the two artificial nuclear responses that Shadoon evidence is from 2000. The study stops in 2011. It's not about Saudi Arabia, which means doesn't stop the advantage of the theory page. Give me and RBI and two topicality shells at speed rectifying strats Q because I have to read interpretation on both of them. they're both functionally names because they create separate layers. Efficiency doesn't solve because you add more layers to the debate, which means giving inefficient one layers doesn't solve. 13 doesn't minutes doesn't solve because you mute all the 1AC with topicality because it always the affirmative. It's not illogical because it's for skew. Log-on. Audience used to express obligation by Merriam-Webster. That's key to ground because otherwise people wouldn't be able to debate on their interpretation. After would just be right or wrong. The text argument is already answered by our argument. The debatability argument doesn't have a warrant, and yes, we can because through conceded intuitions. That way, the real world argument, we solve the real world argument because you can predict the future underneath the debate where we have this form of interpretation. The neg would always win on the lock-on. Neg definition choice is nonsense because you could define ought as literally anything you wanted. I didn't know you were going to read a silly definition of ought. It's not predictable, which means the affirmative should always get rid of the choice of counterfine because this is functionally a T interpretation and like saying that you don't get counter definitions in the last speech. The dishead. No linking case that weighs it super marginal, hard tongue, 18 economic events, or marginal study, Urban commitments for 14 billion, only cited more 10% for good agreements, and jobs and other economic activity, jobs, so strong, so create overseas of the conditions of the sale, the line by line, their crooks, A point, the first is thumpers, A point is the Senate thumper, they has a resolution that thumps our commitment, B point is the House that passed the bill yesterday, sub point C is we ended refueling, which ends all of their thumping because it's a part of their tech integration, the crooks evidence one, there's no warrant in this, link evidence, I read it after loud and laugh at it, second, there's no, what does this say? Oh yeah, there's no explanation for what type of tech innovation actually happens, which means they can't answer cross-expression about how tech innovation solves Russia, and then you should affirm. They also conceded you can't predict black swan events from the 1AC, which is an impact framing argument. You have to, every internal link reduces the probability down of the dishead down to zero. The fill-in argument was already answered on case by the Caberly evidence. Their evidence, their internal link evidence and impact evidence is super unhighlighted. Their military power evidence is actually about electronic warfare, but there's no reason why innovation with Saudi Arabia is key when we give them planes like Lockheed Martin, and there's no reason why selling arms to everyone that the entire globe has left Saudi Arabia, so there's no reason we wouldn't leave Saudi Arabia to harm us or perception internationally, which link turns to dishead.
I had 215.
Yeah.
Okay. What were the arguments against semantics?
Yeah. There are floor, not a ceiling. The framers intended ground, not definitional excellence. That's particularly true if you've met the LD topic framing committee. The second argument.
Floor, not ceiling. What's the second one?
The second argument was jurisdiction's nonsense. The only constitutional role of debate is just to argue who's better. Disclosure and literature solve the impact to it. Your interp says that we don't. Your interp doesn't say we don't meet a word in the resolution, just so we can't specify subsets, which means semantic goes out the window. And last argument is that subsets solve because semantics sets a rectangle for what the topic is. If we're within that rectangle, that's fine. Semantics only matters if we're outside that rectangle.
Okay.
Oh, there was also any risk of semantics defense outways.
Yeah.
Looks like I was right.
What's your argument against Griffiths?
What?
Griffiths?
What's the Griffiths thing?
Education on the NC.
Our interp solves because obviously we can predict things that will happen underneath our interpretation. There's no reason why we have to predict that for one specific thing. It's just start with the log-on.
Okay. Order will be the T debate. So specifically on the jurisdiction. How can I get this in? Jurisdiction like precision voter area. Then it's going to be the NC. And then that's pretty much it. Oh, it'll start with the RVI actually. But that starts on the voter section and then goes to their specific arguments.
On the RVA then.
Yeah.
Sorry, let me get my sheets in order.
Yeah, yeah.
So give me a moment because what did I?
Just T lock on.
Yeah.
Evil T lock-on, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Whoever's left, I'm serious. Okay, fine.
Here.
Well, thanks.
Kathy, there's one like right under here already.
No,
It's kind of weird to
Oh,
sit
my
there.
bad. Oh.
I don't have the same kind. plug it in? Oops. Sorry.
Yeah. Are you good, Kathy?
Give me one moment. Okay, I'm good.
Okay. Read below. 2 possible outs for the TRIO. The first is the RVI's argument, which I can see the multiple reasons as to why they don't get an RVI. I'll get to that later. The second is the AC, which means that as long as when the NC mechanism takes out all the AC framing, then that is going to be sufficient for you to vote on the NC. I'll start on the RVI debate. You conceded multiple reasons why you don't get an RVI. That was the logic framing. The external RVI argument. You shouldn't win for being topical because that's your burden. They go for a bunch of fairness offense, but I've also conceded the appearance of fairness, which is that just because it would be reciprocal or just because it would be fair for you to get an RVI does not matter. They conceded the example, which is that even if it would be fair or reciprocal for the affirmative to get a counterplan, that would be inherently illogical because the affirmative defends something separate from the counterclaim, which means that logic constrains all of their arguments. They don't get an RVI either way. I'll respond to their actual RVI warrants. They say get an RVI. They say they get an RVI on 2 shells. No unique reason as to why 2 shells are better. Which means insofar as it's an arbitrary bright line, like why when they get one specific one, the arguments of the same amount of time spent on is the same, which means that it doesn't matter. Their argument is that it's functionally a nib, no impact in nibs. Their last argument that there's a 13 skew doesn't solve. However, you can see that negating is harder, which takes out the arguments. Even if the 1 AR is hard, it doesn't matter. You have the first feature, which means that you don't have the ability, which means that the 1 AR hard, which means that if the 1 AR is hard, that is your fault for making the 1 AR hard. You have the ability to speak first, which means that you have the ability to set the paradigms for debate by reading your specified advocacy, your framework, your spikes, which means that if you don't have stuff to leverage into the 1 AR, that is your fault. It means that there is no time. It means there is no time issue against the affirmative. These were conceded arguments, which means that they don't get new in the 2 responses. The jurisdiction stuff. So back on the T shell. Extend that jurisdiction is a voter. They can see that they're affirmative but not affirming the resolution, which is a voter. Since the ballot asks who did the better debating in the context of the resolution. All of their arguments are really blippy and not justified and non-responsive to my arguments, which means that as long as I put a little bit of ink on their arguments, and that should be sufficient. That should be sufficient for you to vote. They've conceded 2 independent